Hey, welcome in. On today's Kitchen Table Talk, we want to talk fighting the flu because Dr. Coley, we're bringing her in to have this conversation with us. You and I were talking yesterday during commercial breaks that the vaccine is only like 30% effective in any given year. And you guys always say, get the flu shot, get the flu shot. But if it's only going to protect you so far, what else can you do because it's gnarly this year?
It is. And I just got over the flu myself, as we were talking about, and I definitely got my vaccine. So 40 to 60% is what we hope for effectiveness. 35% is where we're hitting this year. But remember, even if it doesn't keep you from getting the flu, it keeps you out of the hospital. So I still would recommend you get vaccinated. But that's not enough, to your point. Especially if you're someone who got the vaccine early in the season, you really got to have your guard up, because this year the flu is telling us that it's really aggressive, it's really, really bad, and that it's spreading much more efficiently. So all the tips about hand hygiene and trying not to shake hands and keeping your distance and staying home when you're sick, we need to really dig into those.
Because we thought we had done all the things. My entire family got vaccinated, and we got it right before Christmas. My husband, and it was my 4-year-old, and it put my infant baby in the hospital. I mean, she had fluid on her brain. She had to get a spinal tap. And so I didn't even know the flu could do this. And our pediatrician told us, like, in babies particularly and young kids, the flu can do all sorts of things.
Yes, and also in people over the age of 65. So what we can see in babies is not the flu itself, but it's the complications, whether it gets into their lungs and causes a pneumonia. They can get into the brain and cause something called an encephalopathy. And hopefully Piper is okay and she's recovered and everything from the flu. But it's really very important to get those kids tested early so that you can start Tamiflu, and you can give anyone over the age of 2 weeks Tamiflu adjusted according to their weight and stuff. So it's important to start to get antivirals on board. And I would say this for adults too, Alex. So for me, I had a little bit of a cough, and then I got a little bit of a fever, and I said, oh, it's probably a cold. And it wasn't until day 3 of my symptoms that I said, hey, I better test. And the minute that I tested, that flu swab lit up, and I knew that I needed the Tamiflu.
But isn't it too late? I thought Tamiflu is only effective within 48 hours.
Nope. So it's most effective within the first 48 hours. So you really want to test at the first sign of symptoms. So if I could hit rewind and go back and do that, that's what I would do. But even at day 3 for certain people, either if you've got underlying health problems, your flu infection is really, really bad, or even if you're exposed to somebody with the flu, sometimes we use it for prevention or prophylaxis if you're somebody who's high risk yourself.
But sometimes it's hard to get it. I feel like you really have to advocate for yourself, because it's like they, act like it's a treasured commodity, and a lot of people don't even want to give it to you.
It is very hard, and I personally had trouble getting it because I'm pretty healthy and I was kind of on the edge of where it might have benefit, but as a healthcare worker it was a little bit easier. But do advocate, because it can shorten the duration of your symptoms, it can shorten your infectivity, so it can actually make you less infectious to others, especially if you're living in a household with multiple people or people who are high risk. And it's reasonably safe and well tolerated. You can get obviously side effects like GI side effects and such. This is not something you want to stop early though, once you're feeling better with the flu. You want to finish the course of the medication and don't reach for antibiotics and such, because that doesn't work for flu. It's caused by a virus.
And something you told me, I had no idea, just like you can go get a COVID test, you can get a flu test at wherever?
Yes, so there's many ways to test yourself at home. If you're someone who doesn't have insurance or can't get to the doctor, you can go to King Soopers or Walgreens or CVS and just pick up a rapid antigen test. Now, you only want to test once you're symptomatic. And so what you can, first sign of symptoms, pick up a card, and it's the same kind of thing, a nasal swab. You put it on the thing and it tells you test for both COVID and flu. So it's actually a nice way to know which you have. And I strongly recommend everybody test, even if they think it's a cold and it's not COVID or the flu, because it really can guide your management with Paxlovid and with Tamiflu.
Which is huge. And I want to ask you, for the parents out there, and hopefully parents are listening, because the amount of just kids that I see at my daughter's school that are coughing and sneezing, and you got the snot running. What are the measures to keep your kid home from school?
You have to do it until they're fever-free for at least 24 hours without any fever-reducing medications. Because if you send your child back early, A, it's not good for your child. It's not a good idea to send them when they're highly symptomatic, and B, they're shedding virus particles. And sometimes I'll even say go ahead and swab them again, because that may be a way to know. You can get a fake out when you're taking Tamiflu on the swab, but at least you know if they're infectious enough to be a risk to someone else. And it's important because some teachers at school and such can be older and have underlying health problems. So I can't emphasize that enough. I know you want to get your kids back to school, but really think about others.
Okay, definitely. We can talk about this all day as far as I'm concerned, because we certainly went through it, and it is gnarly virus
this year.